I've been building my Evo 9 MR to compete in GridLife's Time Attack series for the past 2 years, but this season we're leaving no stone unturned in our pursuit of speed, horsepower, handling, weight reduction. When we're done with her, Lana the Lancer is going to be the whole package, all sponsored by Advance Auto Parts. Previously on Gears and Gasoline, I benchmarked the Evo at my home track, Virginia International Raceway. Then, we put in new diffs, a ball bearing HKS turbo, and a custom 3.5-inch downpipe. This resulted in the Evo making 420 wheel horsepower. Now, a few finishing touches, and it'll be time to test the car again. First up, the missing piece of my 3.5-inch exhaust puzzle. A lovely stainless steel catback from Artec Performance has finally landed at my doorstep. So I called over my local fabricator buddy Andrew of TFE Performance to make all fit up. So Ron fabricated this whole downpipe and midpipe system, or test pipe, at the shop with no catback to reference, and that is how close he was. This is the tolerance. Like, we don't even need any extra 3.5-inch piping. Ron absolutely nailed it. Andrew knows what he's doing when it comes to fabrication, and went the extra mile of back purging the welds he made on the exhaust, which resulted in cleaner and stronger welds.
We've obviously gone from a titanium catback with a steel high flow cat and a steel downpipe to a full steel 3.5-inch turbo back. So we're gonna pick up weight. I'm standing on the scale right now. It says I weigh 182 pounds. Sounds about right. With the whole exhaust that I was running previously, titanium, I'm 209, 27 pounds. So this Tomei with a high flow cat and downpipe, 27 pounds. We're gonna pick up weight. The question is gonna be how much weight, and then does the extra 12 wheel horsepower and torque offset that weight? Ooh, oh mamma mia. She's a heavy girl. And that is right about 38 pounds. So that compared to 27 pounds from the Tomei with the steel downpipe and cat. Not that bad, honestly. 10 pounds right at the very bottom of the car, not unsprung weight. I would say that the extra power should offset that weight gain. Also, I noticed that the car is suffering from some kind of bad drivability right now. It doesn't want to idle and stuff like that. I think that is due to a dead front O2 sensor or upstream O2 sensor. Advance, luckily, got them for a really affordable price from Denso. Factory, I think, is like $200 or something like that, $300. So just gonna pop this in, see if that solves some of the drivability problems. Now, there are just a few more things that we need to do to the Evo before we take it to the racetrack to see how much faster the car's gotten with all of our new mods. I'm gonna start off by doing a little bit of housekeeping and listing all of the things that I need to do on the car. Jesus Christ. First things first, these are Fortunato 510s, and they've been on the car for 3+ years, a lot of track days, a lot of street miles. They were just a little bit tired, so we took them over to Fortune. They rebuilt them for me, so these are ready to go for another 3 years or something like that. One upgrade that we've done is the same company that provided those drop knuckles, SSB. He also sent me some of his caster plates. Big thing with Evos is the more caster you can dial in, the better they'll handle. So we have some caster that's gonna get added onto the car. These are just set at a certain amount of caster. There's no adjustment. There's no adjustment OEM either, but we're just gonna add some with these plates. So really interested to see how this is going to affect handling. Mounted the wheel on this side, and unfortunately at full lock it will touch the inner side of the fender well. It'll touch the frame, so the wheel needs a little bit more offset. These are a plus 30. Optimally they would be like a plus 22, or you know, a little bit lower than that. We're gonna have to use spacers, and the only way that we can really fit that is if we get some extended studs on order before our track day next week. Hey, does anybody have M12 by 1.5 extended studs, like ARP bullet nose, or just any kind of extended studs for an Evo? Need 20? Need 20. So this is kind of the ebb and flow of working on a car. If you've done it before, you kind of know how it goes. You know, you feel like, okay, well today we're gonna do suspension. Then it turns out that you need extended studs and spacers. So, okay, we'll do suspension another day. Luckily, we have tons of stuff to occupy our time. So instead of suspension, we are going to focus on baffling. Now, a big issue that I've been facing ever since we went to a built motor with forged pistons and stuff is the same issue that absolutely everybody who tracks a 4G63, and I emphasize tracks on like a circuit track with lateral Gs. As soon as you go to a built motor with forged pistons and different ring tolerances, everybody starts to have oil blow-by issues. The heads have very poor drain down. And I got Ron to talk about it a little bit and what kind of solutions we're going to try and implement in order to make sure that we can get more seat time by pushing less oil out of the motor.
So we took this off to see what we can do to help eliminate the oil from coming up and outside of the valve cover. You have these holes that's breathing from the block up to the valve cover, and the oil's hoping the oil would catch in here and then go back down. But if you're on a circuit track, you're making left turns, right turns, a lot of G-forces, and engine's always in power. So you have oil that's gonna come up, stay up here, and by the time you start making corners, all that oil would try to look for a way out. Instead of down, it's gonna make a way out from your breather port, which is on this side. From the factory. So what we've done was to block that off on this one, to stop the oil from coming up directly from that port, hit a wall first, and hopefully send that oil back down, and just let the pressure come up around it and make it up this way. So whatever oil makes it up here, hopefully it's less.
I have the finished products that Ron sent me right here. Pretty rudimentary solution, but I think that the theory is pretty sound. Basically, all we want to do is literally add more baffling. Air still has a path to travel on, and we just want to try and limit the direct path of oil going up above the baffles and out of the motor. Now I just need to take off my valve cover, and we can install these and do another mod to the valve cover to increase breathing. First things first, we're going to take the baffles out, we're going to take the fittings out, and we're actually going to enlarge this fitting. Typically these baffles are riveted in. I just knocked the heads off the rivets, drilled out the rivets, and then re-tapped those holes that I drilled. And then I just put in new bolts with red Loctite, and they are all coming out real nice and easy. Okay, so stock baffle, unmodified, versus the modified one. This we are replacing with this. This is a 3/4 inch to a -12 So this should be significantly, obviously, more ventilation. The theory is that, you know, with increased area inside, that lowers the pressure, and then more air is able to escape. With more oil being left behind, it just lowers the overall pressure that's going into the given area. So we're gonna have to drill out the valve cover again.
Evo valve covers are magnesium, so you can't weld to them.
Oh, and it's like a glove. Mamma mia. Fits pretty nice, so.
For comparison,
I already have some nice AN fittings, dash 12, so I'll be able to send this to a catch can. You know, obviously we're gonna have to clean all this, deep clean this to get all the metal shavings out. But before we do that, we'll take this fitting out. Once this sees boost, this will actually close off. So this becomes useless when you're on track because it doesn't allow any ventilation. It just provides vacuum when you're, you know, cruising or at idle. But this will become a dash 10. They make a dash 10 press-in fitting that we can use right back here. And with our modified baffles, this shouldn't see any oil when we're accelerating.
let's go clean up this valve cover.
With my revisions to the engine's crankcase ventilation system coming along nicely, Andrew came back over to take some measurements for the new catch can he'd be fabricating. Next, it was time to dial in ride height. With the new billet drop knuckles from SSB Designs, we're now able to run the car lower than ever before, while still retaining optimal suspension geometry. In fact, Dallas, the designer of the knuckles, essentially told me, slam the shit out of it.
So I'm about to align the Evo, but as all things go with builds and stuff, you're waiting on parts. These guys just came in before I've aligned the Evo, ARP extended studs. So I need to run extended studs because with the change in the suspension parts and the way that the wheel is mounting now and the new wheels with different offsets and different widths, everything is getting a little bit close for comfort. Tires getting really close to the strut, so I want to make sure that everything just gets spaced out a little bit, which means I need to run about 10 to 15 mil worth of spacer in the front. In order to safely do that, you know, you got to have some super high tensile strength studs that are longer so that you have a lot of thread for the lug nuts to bite onto. So we're going to install these real quick, then we can align the car. Torque and Loctite for all brake caliper components.
With the ride height and track width all set, it was time for me to dial in the alignment. I used to take my car to be aligned at shops, but I've recently begun handling it myself or with friends. The trade-off in time and laser accuracy is that I don't have to hand my car off to a shop. If anything goes wrong, I don't have to blame anyone else, and of course, it's educational. The next day, with the car aligned, I removed the catch can system I'd been running since last year and took Lana out for her first test drive. Put some miles on the Evo, did some break-in miles on the diffs, and now we're going to drain out this drivetrain fluid and the moly that's in there. So the oil is going to be like a really ugly color, but that's on purpose. You know, as soon as they build a new fresh differential or transmission or something like that, TRE will put in moly into the gear set just to kind of aid break-in and stuff like that. It should help with the longevity of the differential and the front differential. At this point, I needed to be at the track in approximately 10 hours, and the car still wasn't quite ready, so I just set the camera in time-lapse mode and helped Andrew install the catch can he'd brought and rolled my fenders to clear my tires.
We're back at Virginia International Raceway. We were here at the end of February. Now it is April, so it's been a month, but the weather is about the same. The car, not so much. Everything about the car has changed. We're making more horsepower. The suspension is drastically revised. We've got way better suspension geometry. The wheels are wider. The only thing that's the same really is the tires. And that's important because we're not doing an apples to oranges comparison where I have a fresh set of stickers and we're really just seeing how much faster you go with fresh rubber. These are the same tires I tested on. They sat out in the cold all winter. These are not fast tires, so whatever time I do here won't even really be representative of what time the car can actually do in optimal conditions. Number one concern, just making sure that the car is all good. So we're gonna go out, first thing, we're gonna do some shakedown laps. We're not gonna go for anything fast because if anything touches, like tire touches suspension or anything like that, I don't want there to be a disaster. I wanna feel things out, check out the new catch can setup, see how that feels. Just really shake the car down. After that, we'll go for fast laps.
changes everything.
Everything.
Good. But it goes to show you, like, when the whole car is at the proper ride height and at the geometry is where it should be, it changes everything.
I went 7 seconds slower on that lap than my personal best. I did a 2:13 versus a 2:06. And my back straight top speed was 2 miles an hour faster. I broke earlier. I went slower as a lap time, but I was still going higher mile per hour. This car has serious horsepower now. Through the corners, it feels glued to the road. It's insane what lowering the center of gravity while maintaining stock suspension geometry has been able to do for the compliance of this car and the balance of this car. We're gonna go back out. We're gonna try and see what we can do. We're gonna see if we can break a 206. The car can easily do it. I just need everything to hold together. We're pulling a lot of G. I'm worried about the motor. That last session, I did 5 laps. I did 3 cool laps, 1 out, 1 cool down, and then 1 to bring it in. And I did 2 hot laps. And this is what we got going on. So, I mean, you know, gives me plenty of time to admire the lovely fabrication work of my buddy Andrew. But unfortunately, our blow-by problems are not solved. But the good news is that the car works really, really well. It just went 3 seconds faster than what I did here in February. A 3-second PB at my home track that I know like the back of my hand. That ain't nothing. The car turns in like crazy. The horsepower is absolutely ludicrous. I was 6 miles per hour faster on the back straight than I was last time we were here. I did 153, and that was still braking early. So 5 laps, a little bit too much for our poor little catch can. Oil's even up here on the fender. Now that we've moved the catch can back under the hood, we're right back to brake clean. I have not missed this. I don't know, that's the most annoying part, is just not getting seat time. I would go a lot faster if the car would turn laps without having issues. So now that I've gotten an idea of how much oil it's pushing into the catch can after 1 lap, we're gonna do 1 lap at a time. This isn't gonna be the end of development on venting the motor. We're obviously still gonna try and get more laps, get more seat time. That's the goal for the season, but I don't wanna have some kind of issue oiling down one of my tires or something like that. 1 hot lap seems to be the ticket. 1 out lap, 1 hot lap, 1 cool down. What it's really gonna come down to, that I've already kind of noticed is potentially an issue, is traffic. I would dare say this is the fastest car in the run group. That could become an issue if I just get held up. All right, let's see what we can do. So when we were here a month ago in February, the car did a 2:06.5. For me, that was a personal best by like 2 seconds. Today, we did a 2:02 flat, a 4.5 second improvement on the same set of tires. And it was incredibly hairy. It was a super hairy lap. There's so much refinement that we can do still just here at VIR. And there's a lot more refinement that we're gonna do to the car. We're not done optimizing it yet. I said at the beginning of every episode of this series, we were gonna leave no stone unturned. And there's still a couple of pebbles we can flip over. But this is an awesome way for us to know that we're heading 100% in the right direction. There's at least a 2-minute lap, and I would love to get it, but I am exhausted, and I feel like I've pushed my luck with the car for today, and I honestly am tired of cleaning up oil. So we're gonna take this as a massive W, a total win. I'm so thankful that I get to work with the best people in the industry. Too many people to name have been involved with this car for the past 8 years. And finally, we're going really fast.